Relays are complicated. It is a true team event and requires practice, lots of practice. The difference between a medal and missing out is fractional.
Well, I think when you get to this sort of level in the relay, because all the countries, like so, they have good athletes and we're all on the same level, so that those little milliseconds make a huge difference, and it's a difference between gold and silver or bronze. So I think it's really important that we got the chance to see what we can actually rectify.
Which is why all the major relay teams across the world spend hours and days practicing their zones, their handovers and their signals. And this is what the sprint relay camp is all about. With this being early days, the Olympics still 6 months away, head sprint relay coach Paul Goris has assembled a big squad.
The squad is a combination of 100 meter and 200 meter guys, because we're dealing with two bins. So you have to look at the guys that's best suited for that particular spot as well. Basically, we have a squad of 9 athletes. So I made the squad quite big and not your normal 6 to 8 athletes. So I made it quite big so that we, in terms of in case injuries happen, in case we need another 2 that can cover us for the heats to the final. So so it's a big squad with a combination of 100 and 200 meter guys. We've got Akane, obviously been our best sprinter since 2015. Then we've got Thando Tlodlo, who's up and coming, ran 10.08 last year. We have Simon, who's the old dog, Henrico. So we have about 4 sub 10-second sprinters within the squad, and then we build the team with them, and then also the core of the team will basically be the team that ran in Doha last year.
South Africa currently have 4 athletes who have broken 10 seconds for the 100 meters. But as Paul says, there's a lot more to the relay than merely having 4 fast guys on the team.
It's just not about the time you post in a 100 meter when it comes to a 4x100 meter relay. We have to look at everything. It's about who's best suited for each and every position. That's simple. I think a lot of guys would just look at that. We got 4 sub 10 guys and how we're going to slot them in. Most of those guys are 100 meter guys, and like I said, we're dealing with 2 bends, so we have to look at the 200 meter guys. If you look at someone like Clarence, for instance, I don't think there's a lot of people in South Africa or basically in the world that can keep up with him around the bend.
It's Munyai just streaking away from Glodlo and Engel. Top 2 only secured of a place in the final. Munyai 19.70. If that is confirmed, then I can't see how it won't be. That will be a new South African junior record, and more than that, a new South African senior record.
It's about who's going to be best suited for that particular position. Like I said, for instance, on third leg, I don't think there's a lot of people that can run with Clarence on third leg. Then you have Thando Tlodlo, who starts for us, who's a good 100 meter specialist, but also runs a decent 200 meter, and is probably one of the quickest starters here. So it's a combination of things that we're looking at. A guy like Akane can run a decent bend as well, but we'll never use him there because I don't think anyone can chase down a relay the way he does. He's probably got one of the best top end speeds, so that's why we use him on the last leg. The leader for me, I'm looking at someone that's going to put us in a good position once we get to the first exchange. We used Thando last year. Like I said, he's probably one of the quickest guys over the first 60, 70, but can also run a decent 200 meter bend. So the job he had to do last year particularly was to get us in a good position by the time we get to second exchange. And the message was simple. For each runner that was with us, my message was simple: try and pick up the runner on the outside, and by doing that you'll put your teammate in a better position.
Once the composition of the team is finalized, the strategy then needs to be fine-tuned. Each handover area is broken into zones which have their own strategies and tactics, and the zones are clearly defined. Within this zone, the changeover has to happen to avoid being disqualified.
Look, there's a 30 meter zone, so basically the exchange need to happen inside that zone.
The changeover zone is stipulated by World Athletics, the former IAAF. How teams manage their changeovers within these zones is their responsibility. Again, Paul works very hard with the athletes to find the right combination within the zone and timing of these changeovers.
So the outgoing runner needs to be inside that zone, and he needs to receive the baton before it's the 30 meters on the other side. So the zone is something you can play around with. It depends with the athletes that you're working with.
Okay, watch that mark, watch the mark.
Better, Simon, get your hand up. You know, if you want to make the first one a little bit shorter and you to bring the zone in to give, you know, the outgoing runner, if he's a good top end runner, a little bit of more to work with. Move a bit in. There. Just stay away from the line, but also keep the gap on the inside. Okay, let's just go one so we can just see. Better. Keep the gap. That's it. Luckily, we didn't have that problem last year. Most of the guys were strong, so we could utilize the full 30 meters of the zone. I mean, I normally walk on 20 on the zone, so we have 10 meters to spare just for safety. You know, we didn't want to take any chances. I think this year, because we have more time than what we had last year, we'll play around more with the zone. If you take the start with the incoming runner, you know, the outgoing runner needs to open up space, so to make that baton exchange. So they need to utilize the zone and also when they exchange that baton. So there needs to be space for the incoming runner to make that exchange happen as well.
Getting these changeovers right, making sure the call comes at just the right time, is vital, and the squad practice this relentlessly.
Look, it depends. So we have the 30-meter zone, and then we will mark the zone from the 30 out. It will be 25 steps, 26, it just all depends on who's starting. So once the incoming runner hits the marker, the outgoing runner will then move on that mark. But that's specific, and that's why we need this training camp to work those zones out perfectly. But the outgoing runner, what basically happens is he watches the zone. So when the incoming runner's foot is on that zone, the outgoing runner starts moving. The only time when a call happens is when the baton exchange happens. You know, sometimes that is also something that we need to work on, because some guys call late, some guys call early, and that also affects how quick you get a baton around. New posing team, right?
Getting changeovers right is not only practice within the confines of the zones, a lot of work goes on prior to stepping into the zones where the athletes will drill their approach and handovers.
The drill that we did, that was just, you know, eye-hand coordination, that type of things that we've never really focused on before. We never had the time before. We just used to go straight into the exchanges. So with that was just basically practicing the hand-eye coordination, the hand positioning, the calls, how to call, when to get the hand out, not to delay from call to hand, you know, those sort of things. So that's just part of the drills that we're getting, so that the guys can get used to hand placement and also how to place the baton in the hand as well. So.